Coming up on Lazer Update, we'll meet Professor Meredith Cantor Fowler and take a deep dive into the world of art and photography.
Plus, we highlight an art student and her dreams to design. All that and more in the next 20 minutes.
Good morning and welcome to Lazer Update. I'm Eric Shearer.
And I'm Allie Elkins. It's Thursday, March 30th. Just one more day to the weekend. I can't wait for Friday to get here.
Me neither, but we have a jam-packed Lazer Update for you today. So let's get started. We start with someone whose passion for art has led her all across the country. Now Professor Meredith Cantor Fowler calls Central New York and Onondaga Community College her home.
This is Meredith Cantor Fowler. She teaches photography, 3D design, and drawing.
Been here since 2006. I didn't find my niche in a lot of the other disciplines, and art was something that it was a different way to communicate that was more clear for me, and I received praise for being able to communicate through the arts, and I stayed with it. It's tricky because it relies entirely on technology, and therefore it straddles the line between being art and craft. So it's one of the things that keeps it always straddling this line because it is quick. My preferred area is to be in a studio because you have ultimate control over every symbol. I have a tendency to lean towards sort of darker environments, lots of shadow. It's called chiaroscuro lighting, where there's very, very specific points of light on specific subject matter. I love that the arts evolve, and so as we change, how we work changes.
Meredith keeps her students laser focused by telling her students that technology does not control their creativity.
In addition to being a professor, she remains active in the world of art. In fact, she contributed her skills to a new logo for the Onondaga Hill Fire Department just down the road from campus.
Now, let's meet an art major whose dream is to be a freelance graphic designer after graduation. It might take a lot of work, but student Ma Naing strives to be the best she can be.
Ma Naing is a first-generation art student who attends OCC. She majors in graphic design.
I chose graphic design because it gives me creative freedom as well as giving me a secure, steady paycheck without being a freelancer. There is no one person that inspires me. It's, the feel of the old classics like, Da Vinci and Leonardo, as well as the new flavors of, modern art. As an Asian American, despite having all these expectations on me to have a higher paying job, and hasn't stopped me from loving art and pursuing it as a career. For my Burmese heritage, I always thought it was such, it was really beautiful, really complicated. The fine details are just amazing. I believe OCC was the best choice for me because it helped me explore my options before I finally decide ultimately which college I want to pursue.
After OCC, Ma plans on transferring to a 4-year college where she can get a job in a corporate environment, which made the decision easier with the help of OCC.
If you love being creative like Ma, you'll want to check out OCC's art program. They even have their own art gallery right here on campus. It's over in Ferrante Hall underneath Storer Auditorium.
One of our daily features on Lazer Update is called Did You Know? We've learned about several departments, programs, and people that make OCC run every day. Today, though, we highlight an art show not of the OCC faculty or students, but high schoolers.
This one isn't the art gallery. It's in our Whitney building every winter. Our Freeman takes us to the Scholastic Art Show.
Did you know OCC's Whitney building is home to the annual Scholastic Art Show? It features the work of middle and high school artists from all over Central and Northern New York. You'll find great pieces of art from paintings, photos, sculptures, even fashion. Many of them have won awards for their outstanding work. You don't want to miss this great exhibition that only happens once a year.
Thanks, Lyle. The art show might be over, but they'll be back in mid-January 2024 with more great pieces of art.
And I can't wait to see what's in store for next year. Before we go to break, we want to keep you up to date on all the happenings on campus, including what's coming up this week. Check it out. We'll be right back.
The OCC Bookstore is your one-stop shop for all things academics. Stock up on all you need for class, such as binders, notebooks, calculators, and even computers. For those chefs and artists out there, we've got you covered too. And don't forget about our Box of Books program. All your textbooks and course materials at a great low price. So stop by the bookstore inside the Whitney Atrium and be prepared for your next class.
Discover why OCC is the right choice for you.
One of the reasons why I chose OCC is because it's closer to home. I can still get to see my friends and family, and plus you can even get a private room where you can study. It's nice and quiet. You can even use it for an hour or a half.
I chose OCC because it provided me a great opportunity to help students in my local community.
I chose OCC's BMC program because there's a lot of equipment that they have here on campus that is used worldwide.
Welcome back to Lazer Update. You've got Eric.
And Allie with you on the second to last day of March.
We're switching gears and going from the drawing boards to the hardwood.
Last fall, the women's basketball team got a new head coach. Dante Casella sat down with Kelly Sight to discuss her plans for the women Lazers team going forward.
Kelly Sight, head coach of the Onondaga Community College women's basketball team, talks about her experience at OCC and what there is to come.
So I was the assistant coach here for 8 years, and then I took over the program last year as my first year as head coach. Favorite memory as a coach thus far is winning the Region 3 tournament last year, which in result led us to go to Minnesota to play in the Elite Eight. I played here in 2010. When I transferred, I wanted to be closer to home. I played here, I went on to Brockport, and then I realized that I just loved OCC. I loved the atmosphere, I loved everything about my sophomore year of college. So when I was a player, I always wanted to become a head coach. All my coaches used to tell me that I had high IQ as a player. My dad was my varsity coach for 4 years at the high school level. So I knew that I wanted to be a coach in some capacity, and for it to be at the collegiate level was really awesome.
Sight wants her teammates to excel both on and off the court to build positivity and courage.
The women's basketball team ended their season 16-8. They did advance to the NJCAA tournament this year. However, they were eliminated by Community College of Rhode Island in the first round.
Now we go from the hardwood to the keyboard. Esports are making their way to college campuses throughout the U.S., including OCC. We spoke with head coach Keith Edwards to find out his plans for this new team.
He attended OCC in 1987 and received a radio and television degree, now known as Broadcast Media Communications. He has also been an audiovisual specialist at OCC for 24 years. But more recently, Keith Edwards has become the man behind a new digital form of organized sports right here on campus.
OCC was talking about possibly starting an esports team, so as soon as the news came out that they wanted to have an esports team and they were going to hire a coach. Honestly, I didn't care if I was going to be the head coach, but I wanted to be part of this endeavor. E is just short for electronic. It's basically online gaming. If anybody has seen either a Call of Duty tournament or a Warzone Battle Royale, but on a smaller scale. Right now for esports, I have just under 40 students that are competing in 4 different games. The kids that I have now are fantastic. They're learning how to play together and becoming a cohesive unit. And I think it's opened up the door for a lot of the students to come out of maybe a shell where they're talking to more students and they're forming friendships.
Keith and the team are excited with plans for their new space to be built in the Gordon Student Center behind Starbucks.
The new OCC Esports arena is going to be in what's currently known as the Bistro. Right now we're in process of doing some electrical work and some construction. We're hoping to be ready to go for the beginning of the spring semester. It's going to be a real eye catcher, and I think once it's done, all the students are going to want to come by and check it out. The esports outlet has definitely given me a new look at what I've been doing. I always want to push it to the next step, so now I'm looking at possibly seeing if we can come up with some type of 2-year degree program for esports management. There's new opportunities available, and I'm just excited to be part of it.
The esports team finished the fall with multiple top 10 finishes and one national champion. They recently moved into their new home arena in the Gordon Student Center behind Starbucks, and it looks pretty amazing.
Now it's your turn to join the conversation in today's Pulse of the Campus. From campus life and safety to pop culture and beyond, we want to know what you think.
Today we focus on video games. From The Sims to Fortnite, there are a lot of new games to play in 2023. Our Chevy Chafee asked what video games students are playing outside of school.
Here at Onondaga Community College, we asked some students what their favorite video game is to play.
I love the zombies, love zombie games, best game mode out there.
Kirby's Dream Land. Mainly, I don't know, I'm just a big Kirby guy. Growing up, I didn't really play a lot of video games, and cause mom would never really give me any. I played a couple Nintendo games. There's Mario, Kirby, and there was Sega games like Sonic.
Dark Souls 3. I played it in 2019, my first introduction to the Souls series, and the gameplay loop and the progression and all that stuff was phenomenal.
As always, OCC students have great taste in their video games. This is Pulse of the Campus for Lazer Update. I'm Chevy Chafee.
Wow, do people play a wide array of video games these days? It's really incredible how they can manage that and their schoolwork.
Speaking of games, let's see how our Lazer athletic teams are doing and where you can cheer on your fellow Lazers this weekend.
Phi Beta Kappa is a prestigious honor society that looks great on transfer applications.
Hold on, PGK is more than that. PGK is only the coolest chapter around, and we kind of have a lot of awards. Look at all these.
The best part about PTK is that it's student-run and made up of members from all different majors like
humanities, engineering,
broadcasting,
and many more. It's a chance to work on leadership skills, collaborate on fun projects, and serve our community.
Come join the good vibes here at PTK.
Why did I choose OCC? I chose OCC because it's close to home.
Why did I come to OCC? I came to OCC because it was financially affordable for my family.
Why did I choose OCC? I chose OCC for the hands-on learning.
Welcome back to Lazer Update. Now it's time for a segment we call God Issues, taking a deep dive into the hot topics of the day.
On today's installment, Lyle Freeman and his guest look into the issue of TV reboots and revivals.
Thanks, Eric. Hello, everyone. I'm Lyle Freeman, and today on God Issues, we're discussing TV reboots and revivals. Has Hollywood gone too far with bringing shows from the past back to life, or is this just the future of new content? Joining me today are Annabelle Hughes and Nick Krause to talk about the issue. Thanks for joining me. Annabelle, I want to start with you. Why has Hollywood run out of ideas?
Well, you know what they say. We've run out of ideas all the time. You know, there's not a single new idea in the barrel. And you could say that Hollywood hasn't run out of ideas. They started with no ideas. There hasn't been a single original creative idea since books were made. But they just keep slapping new coats of paint on old stories, and we keep reading them. It's just nowadays they have not only slapped a new coat of paint, they just haven't even pretended it's a new story.
Interesting, interesting. So Nick, I want to come to you. How does nostalgia play a role in content creation?
I want to say, for example, with our parents or whatnot, Star Wars was a huge thing when they were kids, so I feel like with the newer versions of Star Wars, it feels like, oh, it's like reliving their childhood almost, like seeing all the sci-fi, like aliens and stuff like that on the big screen again. And that way they can bring their kids, like how their parents did when they were a kid, to bring them to the movie theater.
And you mentioned Star Wars. Do you take a series like Star Wars or any series, whether it be sci-fi, sitcom, anything, how much do you think is too much?
I feel like it would be too much when a company would go overboard with it. Like Disney, for example, they own Star Wars or whatever. And I feel like kind of like overloading a whole section of their theme park or wherever is kind of too much. And with the marketing and like toys and stuff like that, they have like whole stores, like multiple stores and whatnot of Star Wars merchandise.
Right. So Annabelle, we talked about how much is too much. Then why aren't we just showing reruns?
Because Hollywood still needs a job. Actors, voice actors, directors, all the crew. If we showed reruns, they're out of a job, and while Hollywood would like to save money, they don't want to save that much money.
Absolutely, Annabelle. So when we come back, our discussion continues right here on Got Issues.
The OCC Bookstore is your one-stop shop for all things academics. Stock up on all you need for class, such as binders, notebooks, calculators, and even computers. For those chefs and artists out there, we've got you covered too. And don't forget about our Box of Books program. All your textbooks and course materials at a great low price. So stop by the bookstore inside the Whitney Atrium and be prepared for your next class.
Welcome back, Lyle here again. I'm with Annabelle and Nick, and we've been discussing TV reboots and revivals. Let's continue. So, Annabelle, it's not just sitcoms from the 80s and 90s that are coming back. Kids shows from our days are actually coming back, like Phineas and Ferb and iCarly. So, what kind of an audience is there for those kinds of reboots?
Well, there's both the old audience who will watch it for the nostalgia, you know. I remember this when I was a kid, and it was great. So they'll watch it, even if it's not great anymore, or especially if it is great now. But also, there's new people who weren't born when the original aired. So now they get to watch this new show and be like, wow, this is great. And they don't have the original to compare it to, so they're just watching new content to them.
Absolutely. So, Nick, I want to come to you. What would you, as a fan, be looking for in that first episode of the reboot?
With the first episode, I would be hoping for maybe callbacks or maybe even jabs at how the original would be run, or the original was run, or even maybe stick to the main source and like keep, maybe not go for like script for script and scene by scene, maybe like modernize it a bit, considering like technology evolves throughout the time. So maybe you can do like different camera angles and whatnot. So, or even keep the same jokes, even if they were, maybe if they wouldn't even fly in this generation.
Yeah, talk about letting it fly in this generation. What's your stance? Should these shows be politically correct, or should they stick to their roots?
To a certain extent, yeah. Obviously, you can't just say whatever on live TV or camera-run TV. And so, I mean, keep like some semi-decent jokes, not like too offensive, you know, like Adult Swim type comedy.
All right, so Annabelle, I gotta ask you, what show would you bring back?
I would like to see Avatar: The Last Airbender again. I remember that fondly from my childhood. And no, The Legend of Korra does not count. That show sucked.
Nick, you want to chime in?
With a show that I would wish to bring back?
Yes.
I actually have, I'm going to be the outlier here. I don't think they should do reboots, because I feel like what they should do is like keep the spirit alive with the originals and just make new stuff. I mean, I know it's hard for companies to do that, but
yeah, that is interesting. So I'd like to thank my guests, Annabelle and Nick, and I hope you enjoyed watching. I'm Lyle Freeman, and that's Got Issues.
Thanks, guys. That was a very intriguing conversation.
Indeed, and this was a very intriguing Lazer update.
It sure was. We have covered a lot on today's show, and there's more where that came from. Join us again for more great things happening around campus. Until then, I'm Eric Shear.
And I'm Allie Elkins. Have a great weekend, Lasers.
So did he have tweezers?